What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what came out from SoundHound, and why they need to really fix something ASAP. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound went down 1.07% today, 996 the low, 1050 the high. So you had a lot of volatility, and there's a lot of things somewhat influencing the market. So I feel like the market wants to be optimistic, but a lot of analysts and big firms are starting to spread a lot of fear associated to whether it be tariffs, inflation, just consumers being overdone, a lot of just mixed feelings right now. So this is why you're seeing kind of the up down motion, but nonetheless though, there was news that did come out associated to SoundHound, and that was this right here. So SoundHound does appoint a new individual as the SVP and also CIO. In reality, I think that's good. Having a new position shows that they're trying to build a solid team. Aside from that, though, kind of looked at a lot of her previous experiences that's listed right down here. Nothing really that stands out as like amazing kind of stuff, but nonetheless I think that this is good for SoundHound. The only other thing that came out wasn't really posted or like official news, but it was posted on social media. Looks like they did switch, so our new office, same New York City energy, so they did move it. I'm not really sure if they kind of talked on that in the Q or the recent earnings or not, but nonetheless I think that's kind of good. Let me know your general thoughts on that. One thing though I do feel that they really need to fix is this right here. So there was, after I did my video yesterday, there was a lot of Form 4s that came out, and so I've covered SoundHound for a while now, and when I first started to cover them, there was a lot of insiders that constantly sold, and it was a very big negative. And so I think a lot of algorithmic trading does pick up on this and reacts accordingly. So if we kind of pull up this right here, so this shows all the compiled recent insider transactions, exercised, selling, everything. So algorithmic trading does pick up on this, and like I said, if there's a lot of selling, it might signal a little bit more negativity, thus causing algorithmic trading to really push it down. Recently, you see right here, there was a lot of sells. Transaction code S. So that means straight up sell. F right here is for tax purposes. What SoundHound often enough does, so they kind of did it correctly right here. So the last Form 4s that came out, but throughout the time that I've been covering it, a lot of these transaction code S's are inaccurate. And what I mean by that is the recent ones, if we pull up one of these, it does show transaction code S right here, so meaning for like a straight up sell, not for tax purposes. But that isn't exactly correct, only because if we read this right here, it does show that it's to satisfy tax withholding obligations. So it is for tax purposes. So SoundHound itself is miscoding a lot of these, where they should be transaction code F, they're being coded as S. I know it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but I think SoundHound already gets enough manipulation as is just by shorts. You don't want algorithmic trading working against you. That's just my viewpoint. I just wanted to kind of bring it up there. So if someone from SoundHound is listening, maybe just inform whoever is involved with this, just to double check the coding is correct. Don't mean to tell them what to do for their job, but like I said, I think just any little thing to help, I think it would really benefit. So aside from that though, shorts didn't really do all that much at the end, so they did increase 28,000 shares. At the beginning, it looks as though they were kind of back and forth. At the peak, they were increasing roughly 1.9 or almost 2 million shares. 32.83% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 117.65 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost to borrow average is 3.31. So Like I said, another day that shorts increase. So once again, going back over here, don't want to give shorts any ammunition by just miscoding transactions. So yeah, let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from that, looking here, 2.13 million in calls, 920,000 in puts. 55% of all the options being done today were optimistic in nature. And the big one right here, so between 1150 and 1155, there was 380,000 in premiums. So as it started to run up, it had the peak. That's where a lot of these options were done. So if we kind of open this up, orient it based on premium, we can kind of see, so it was a multi-leg transaction, mostly bullish, but it looks like it's staggered strike prices anywhere from January 16th, 2026 to March 28th, 2025. And you see the bullish one right here, the one that's expiring in 3 days. It looks as though that it's a $11 call that was purchased, meaning that based on the premium, they need it to be at least at $11.19 by this coming Friday. So with it at $10.20, that does mean that big money is seeing like a 10% return at least in the next couple trading days. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Of the call options that are being purchased, you see consensus for it to be roughly around that 11 to 1150 by this Friday. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 950. A lot of big data points as well that's coming out this week, GDP, PCE, as well as some clarification on tariffs, all of which could cause some volatility in the stock price. These are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. A lot of big ones, 3.5 million, 9.4, and then first thing as well, 2.3. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. So you can kind of see that there was no big transactions that did occur this right here. So I feel like that was largely prompted by algorithmic trading as well as a lot of smaller transactions. So it's kind of interesting to see this big spike up. Maybe it was just a random fluke at the time. There wasn't that many orders or whatever else, but definitely interesting kind of stuff as far as that, which I think actually 1152 for the most part. So there was a couple actually buys, my apologies. So this is what really kickstarted the kind of push higher. So 102,000, 131, 284,000, and it looks like 118,000. That grouped together did cause this right here. So some entities were reacting. I couldn't really see any news that came out around this time frame, so it must have been something on a macro standpoint that was really stated, because from SoundHound standpoint, the news that came out about this came out 9 hours ago. This one about them moving offices, that was 3 hours ago, so nothing really matches chronologically with that time period. So let me know your viewpoint on that. And if you know what potentially came out around 1150 that would cause that spike, but $10.20, that's where it did close at. So it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So $9.89 is that strong support. So it wasn't really tested today, so that's kind of a good thing. So just keep that in mind going forward into the next couple of trading days. $10.36 is going to be the next strong target / resistance point. Did break above that, so 1050 was the high, so it was between this R2 and this R1. So essentially it does really want to move higher. At least it just needs good momentum behind the scenes with the market. No new analyst ratings, nothing along those lines. Even looking at the articles, there's not really much coming out. Same as what I mentioned yesterday, just a lot of just lawsuit kind of related stuff. It was the most for the week ending, or week of, I guess, March the 20th. It was the hottest shorts. It made that list, but I usually don't think that's a good thing, unless you believe in a squeeze play, that type of stuff. But typically, if your stock is heavily shorted, it's not always the best kind of thing. It's very tiring to deal with a lot of manipulation on a daily basis. But nonetheless, $9.92 is that ALMA. $8.54 is that 200-day moving average. And as I mentioned, you kind of have a very tight grouping of resistance points right here. So $12.10 and then $12.28. Hopefully with some good momentum tomorrow, you could see a nice push to that 11s. And then with good GDP and PCE, then best case scenario, you can see it kind of bouncing off of that and trending higher. But I think just take note of some of the strong support and resistance points. And honestly, I think it's just a waiting game for just the market to realize that, hey, we are ready. Like, the data is good. Obviously with the tariff updates, technically it should really have reduced a lot of that fear. Once the market maybe does realize that, then it's ready to kind of move to the next leg up. SoundHound's just going to be obviously stuck in limbo, just shorted up until that point. So if you believe in SoundHound, take advantage of these prices, because like I've stated, when it was in the kind of the high teens and like the 20s, SoundHound was getting bought up like crazy. There was a enormous amount of volume. But it's kind of funny, once it gets back down to like the single digits, then of course people don't give a crap about it. It just doesn't make sense. That's the comedy part of the market, I guess. But let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Have you been buying? Do you still believe in it? And what is your viewpoint on, for instance, this news? Like I said, I playing devil's advocate, so I think this is good. It shows that there's moving parts behind the scenes with SoundHound. But do you think that this is for a specific, let's say, M&A coming up, or do you think that there's some actual benefit for this? Because the CIO at this stage in the game, it shows like there has to be some reasoning for that right now. And as far as I was able to research, I don't think that there was a previous CIO, so brand new position. So I don't know. What's your general thoughts on that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolutely on point, so definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.